Barrister Mbeseha, Barrister Fu, we still have you with us here. I'd like to ask this question to you, Barrister Mbeseha. This is not the first time we've seen this happen within Ambazonia, but then people would wake up, try to go about the day, but then before the end of the day, their lives have been disrupted. No homes, their possessions gone, they're hospitalized because of this colonial forces invading or most likely pouring their frustration on the innocent civilian population. What do you advise the Amazonian population to do at this point?
Well, the Amazonian population, the only thing they have to do and they must do is to throw these shackles of whatever they call government away from them. Not the government of Pobia, because the government of Pobia is a replica of the government of Ahijo. Anything called government that comes from Yaoundé should be dished out and dumped into the ocean. Because Ambazonia, like any other community, we're a community of people who call ourselves Ambazonians. There's a community of people who call themselves Nigerians or French people. This is a community of people. And as a community of people, we must have the basics that make us a community, that make us survive. One of those basic things that you need to survive is water. One of the basic things that you need to survive is light. One of the basic things that make you to survive as a human being in a community is good health. All these things are absent. You must also be able to move from one spot to the other, either physically as we do today, drive from one town to the other, or in the modern world, communicate through the internet, through other techniques that we have. Once all these things are absent, why should we ever have them? Yeah, we are analyzing Boya. Boya is good to analyze because Boya happens to be the capital. It happens to be where their senior officials live, their prosecutors, their governors, whatever thing you have in their own administration, they live in that town. If Boya doesn't have those facilities, how do you expect them to be available in somewhere else, farther away, where their big men are not there? This is the reason why we join with them now. If you go to Boya, just Boya, the town is filled of dead, unpicked garbage, which is a source of disease. Last week we were talking about some of it on the Moya Road there, between Moya and Ekona. They're virtually taken off the whole road. There are mosquitoes, there are flies, there's everything that can infect you there. Is that a mistake? No. The delivery put it there. They hired a company called Hasaka. They showed them where they deposit the garbage. And so it's not a question of they not knowing what they are doing. And so this is a government, this is a system that we should throw out with all what we have left as life. If we did join, which we did not, we were not born to suffer. We were not born to go through this. And above all, everybody is supposed to live in security. What happened in Owe, you have just said, is just a tip of the iceberg. At the very least, you expect to get security within the country. But if you live in any community where the people who are supposed to provide you security become a danger to your own security, invading your houses day and night, stealing from you day and night, raping your wives and your children day and night, is that a community where you live? Luckily, what they did in the corner in Owe, they stole the money, they raped the women, but they left the houses standing. But before Owe, there was Ngaribu. Before Owe, there were 270, 800 villages and towns burnt in plain daylight without any excuse. Burned by who? By the military of a certain thing they call a government. Which military, the function is supposed to protect you. They have not protected you. They rather hurt you. They have ruined you. They have raped your wives. They have destroyed your children. You talk about the Mbeseha of Boya. Remember what happened in 2016, 2017? How they dragged those girls inside the mud. Those were the children of Ambazonians. If you were lucky not to have a child there, you were just lucky. Those children could be yours. They could be mine. Why do they merit this? Why should this be done under a government? If this thing had been done by some rock elements in a rightful society, we will run to the government for protection. What will the government do? The government will investigate and punish the perpetrators. But when they are done by your own government, raping you in a way, stealing everything that you have, extorting from you, where do you run to? You have nowhere to escape. And so what's the only escape? If it's called a marriage, you divorce and go and live your life. If you're a woman, go and look for a husband to marry, or live alone. If you're a man, go and look for a different woman, or live alone. Just because you want to survive. You cannot live in the marriage where your husband wants to poison you and your children. You cannot live in a marriage where your wife wants to poison you and the children. That is not workable. You have to separate. And therefore, Ambazonians worldwide, in other words, from Kambe to Victoria, from Okwaya to Funkankan, they have said no to this charade. They have said no to these 64 years of punishment. And so, what do I tell Ambazonians who have shaken off the shackles, who are gone, who are preparing to rebuild whatever we have, we'll rebuild from whatever villages we still have left, we'll bury the dead, they're already dead, we'll deliver more children and they will live a better generation to come. For now, we have said no, and we insist no to everything, to ever having anything to do with these criminals. Over to you.
Mr. Mbeseha, before we close out on this segment with these two enlightened Amazonian barristers, would like to get your thoughts on these last two reports, Barrister Fru. We've seen from power outage to colonial brutalization. Would like to get what you think about the happenings on the home front as we speak.
Let's look at the fact. Before the 20th of August, no such thing has ever happened to Boya. But Boya had never failed to have water, and to a large extent, they've always had light because of the Sonara in Victoria. Because light, the regime made sure that light at the time that Sonara was operating and is still operating somehow, there were always lights in Boya and Victoria. Let's look at the facts. From August 20th, when Boya started respecting the lockdown, the regime decided to punish the people of Boya right up to Owe and beyond. Look, the water system in Boya is not a fabrication of La République du Cameroon. That water system has been there for centuries because of the importance of Boya. They have now decided to sabotage it, to punish the people of Boya for listening to the call of the government of the Southern Cameroons and Ambazonia boycott of elections. What if the regime considers the Southern Cameroons and Ambazonia as part of its territory? Which government will deploy troops into part of the country after campaigns for the presidential election have been declared on the 27th of August? Where have you seen that? That the military is deployed on a part of the country during campaigns for the presidential election. What does that tell you? It is clear evidence that we are not part of them. But if they want our people to vote, will they have deployed troops to Owe? Will they have cut internet for the Southwest and Northwest? I want to inform you and inform everybody that sometime in August, I think towards the end of just before the declaration of campaigns to start, the Minister of Communication and the Minister of Water and Energy were given instructions to control the internet in all of Amazonia. That is why if you call from here to any part of Amazonia, at certain times you cannot get through. They make sure that they control the internet. The internet is unstable. They have decided this time not to cut the internet like they did at the beginning of this struggle. They have decided to At certain hours, you cannot get connected. And that is affecting students. They know it. The water system was sabotaged by the regime to make sure that Boya doesn't have water. The electricity supply, particularly to Boya, was tampered with by the regime, because what is happening in Boya is not happening in Victoria. The deployment of troops to Owe was done by design to subdue our people, to punish our people for listening to their government, the Southern Cameroon Ambazonian government, that they should boycott the elections. What they have done is they have reinforced the boycott, and that is good for us. But I want to say that in the course of doing that, you punish our people with basic commodities like water and electricity, and to a lesser extent the internet. What can they tell the world about what they are doing for the Southern Cameroon Ambazonia? And you are called, people are campaigning. Not one single candidate has denounced what is happening in Boya and beyond, right up to Owe. Not one, but they know it. Echa Churuma just came through Limbe, Boya, Limbe, through Bonaberi into Douala, just 2 days ago. Did he not know or did not hear about no water in Boya, no electricity in Boya? Did he not hear about the attack on the 4th? The 4th is just 2 days ago of Owe by the Cameroon forces. What they did to the population, the royal population of Owe, and they want to come and get votes from the Southern Cameroon Ambazonia. Our people are resolute. None of them is going to for this sham election, because they are not elections called by their own country. That is what it is. Our people are suffering because of the regime, and that is why we are watching very carefully who is going to win this election. And the person who wins the election must tell us, must come to the table and tell us where do we go from here. Thank you.
Barrister Fru, well said. This is where we'll be signing out with you. So much wisdom has been passed out to the home front, and I believe Ambazonians have been taking notes and paying key attention. And indeed, you've said it very wisely. This might have been an attempt of La Republique to sabotage Ambazonia and frustrate them in their efforts to respect the lockdown ahead of the colonial elections, but it has only given them more reasons why they should boycott the lockdowns. Except you have any few brief last words to say for tonight's Undaunted, Barrister Mbeseha, Barrister Fru would like to call it close here.
Well, I don't have much to say. Just that the population that there's always light at the end of the tunnel. It resists, because time is coming when the resistance will be over. We are closer to the end. There are brighter days ahead. All the pains that we've gone through will be forgotten. Over to you.
All right, Barrister Fru.
Yes, I call on the people of the Southern Cameroon Ambazonia to heed to the president's call for total boycott of this election. And anybody who thinks that he can violate that order and come out and go to the polling station, you are taking a risk by yourself, and only you will pay for it.
All right.
So I want to thank our people. I want to thank our people for boycotting, for heeding to the call of boycott from 2nd to the 14th of October, and that everything will be well.